Ever walk past a packed restaurant and think, I could do this?
I could totally open my own WM place.
In Delaware,
Well, today,
we're diving into what it really takes to turn that dream
that dream into a reality.
right here in the first state.
We've got our chef's hats on.
And we're digging into how to start a restaurant in Delaware.
It's a full guide, and it's from the Menuville blog.
Think of it as like our culinary GPS.
It's going to guide us through all the legal stuff.
All the market trends, and give us those insider tips that every Delaware restaurateur needs.
So,
Grab a seat at our virtual counter.
because we're about to dish up a serious serving of knowledge
I'm always so surprised,
by how much Delaware packs into such a small state.
especially when it comes to food.
We're not just talking about quantity
But the sheer variety.
and quality, too.
What's your take on what makes the Delaware food scene so unique?
You're hitting on something really crucial there. Delaware's size. It's actually one of its biggest strengths. You've got this fascinating mix of loyal locals, and they know good food.
And they're not afraid to try new things.
And then on top of that, you combine it with this constant influx of tourists.
Especially all those beach crowds.
Oh, absolutely. You can practically taste the salt air and the seafood.
Right.
But it's not just about beachside dining, is it?
Not at all.
What I think is so fascinating is how Delawareans, they've really embraced like all the national food trends.
But they still hold on to that local community-driven feel.
Like, for example, health-conscious dining.
Huge here.
But think beyond just gluten-free.
We've got restaurants like insert name of a successful Delaware restaurant known for health-conscious options,
They're sourcing their ingredients locally.
partnering with farms that prioritize sustainable practices.
That's a big deal here.
So it's about tapping into those values.
Those values that Delawareans hold dear.
Exactly.
It's not just a trend here, it's like ingrained in the culture.
And this extends to technology, too.
Online ordering, contactless payments.
Even those QR code menus, they're not just gimmicks
They're
here.
becoming standard, especially with that younger tech-savvy crowd.
Okay, so you need to bring your Tech A game to Delaware.
Makes me think of insert name of a specific Delaware restaurant known for its tech integration.
They've completely integrated their whole system.
From like reservations to loyalty programs.
Exactly. And that kind of forward-thinking approach, it's vital, especially when you consider how the pandemic.
It really shifted dining habits.
Delivery and takeout, here to stay.
But to truly stand out in Delaware,
You've got to think about those extra touches.
maybe it's biodegradable packaging, or maybe partnering with a local delivery service.
One that's known for being eco-friendly.
So you're saying it's not just about checking off boxes?
It's about really understanding what resonates with the Delaware diner.
Absolutely.
Now, while we're on the topic of ticking boxes,
With mock red. Oh no, is it time to talk about the L word?
legal stuff.
Laughs. It might not be as exciting as crafting the perfect menu.
But it's the foundation of your entire restaurant.
Unfortunately, Delaware's system is fairly straightforward.
We're talking sole proprietorship, LLC, or corporation.
Those are your main options.
Okay, I'm going to admit,
I'm a much better taste tester than a legal expert.
could you walk us through those structures?
Especially, like what might make sense for someone just starting out in Delaware.
Absolutely. Sole proprietorship is definitely the simplest.
Basically, it just merges your personal liability with the business.
Easy to set up, but
Pretty risky if things go south.
so not ideal for someone wanting to protect their personal assets.
Exactly.
LLCs are incredibly popular here in Delaware.
And for good reason.
They offer that legal separation between you personally and the business,
Which shields your personal assets.
and they have tax advantages.
That sounds like a safer bet for most folks.
What about corporations?
Those always sound so formal.
They are,
Corporations provide the most liability protection,
but they are more complex to manage.
especially in terms of taxes and regulations,
Probably overkill for a new restaurant.
especially here in Delaware.
Most smaller places go for that LLC sweet spot.
Smart.
So get that LLC squared away.
What's next on the legal checklist?
Registering your restaurant name. Crucial.
And don't forget about that EIN.
Your employer identification number.
Think of it as your restaurant's,
Like social security number.
for tax purposes.
And without it?
Let's just say the tax man won't be impressed.
Laugh. Not at all.
Speaking of important things,
Let's talk about the heart of your restaurant.
the food
The people who make it all happen.
safely.
Yes.
Because while a negative Yelp review can sting,
a food safety issue.
that's a whole different ballgame.
You're telling me.
Luckily, Delaware takes food safety very seriously.
They've got a really rigorous system in place.
Starting with something called Serve-Safe certification. Sounds like a superhero of the culinary world.
Kind of.
It's like the gold standard in food safety training.
Delaware requires at least one person
In a supervisory role.
to be Serve-Safe certified.
It ensures they know all the ins and outs of handling food safely.
So it's not just about a clean kitchen.
It's about having that deep knowledge to prevent any issues in the first place, right?
Precisely.
It covers everything.
Proper handling, temperature control,
Cross-contamination, allergen awareness.
you name it.
And here's the thing.
This isn't just about the head chef.
Basic food safety training for your entire staff is a must.
From the line cooks to the servers.
Everyone needs to be on the same page.
Because a culture of safety starts from within.
100%.
And speaking of safety,
We can't forget about the importance of a safe work environment.
for your team.
We're back
Dishing out more insights.
on conquering the Delaware restaurant scene.
We talked about food safety,
But what about creating a space where your team feels safe
value.
and ready to handle anything that comes their way?
It's amazing how often workplace safety gets overlooked.
Restaurant kitchens, they're fast-paced.
And accidents happen.
Delaware mandates specific training.
And it's not just about preventing burns or cut,
We're talking fire safety,
knowing what to do if there's an emergency.
especially in those, critical first few minutes.
Even basic first aid.
So it's about peace of mind for everyone.
Knowing the team is prepared for those just-in-case scenarios.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You can have the most amazing food,
A spotless kitchen.
a well-trained team.
But if the customer service isn't up to par,
That's a recipe for disaster.
oh, absolutely. Word of mouth is everything in this business.
And in a place like Delaware, where people love to support local,
A bad reputation can spread faster than you can say burnt appetizer.
you're not wrong.
And here's the thing.
Customer service training, it isn't just about being polite.
It's about creating a feeling.
An experience.
It's that warm welcome,
That genuine smile.
the way your team handles like a special request
Or even a mistake.
with grace.
And professionalism.
It's about making those diners feel seen,
And appreciate it.
turning them from first-timers.
Into regulars who tell all their friends.
You have to try this place.
Exactly.
Speaking of getting people talking,
Let's talk about how to get those hungry customers through the door in the first place.
marketing.
All right, so spill the beans.
What's hot in the Delaware marketing scene?
Just like everywhere else.
A strong online presence is key.
Your website is basically your virtual storefront.
So no dusty, outdated designs.
Okay, good to know.
But I have to ask,
Is a website really still necessary?
in the age of Instagram-worthy food pics?
And those, kitschy TikTok food trends.
Well, that's a fair question.
But think of it this way.
Your website is the one place you have complete control.
Over your message.
Your brand.
Your story.
It's where people can go to find your menu,
Your
your
hours.
location,
Book a reservation.
or even order online.
So it's about covering those basics.
But also letting your personality shine through.
Speaking of which,
What about social media?
how do you stand out in the crowded world of foodie feeds?
You know, Delawareans love their local businesses.
And social media is the way to connect on a personal level.
High-quality photos are a must.
We're talking drool-worthy close-ups.
The behind-the-scenes action shots.
And don't forget those gorgeous shots of local ingredients.
Absolutely.
Highlight those farm-to-table connections.
Those partnerships with local breweries and wineries.
And when it comes to platforms,
Instagram is your best friend.
visual, engaging,
And perfect for showcasing the Delaware foodie scene.
makes sense.
Now I'm picturing all those mouth-watering photos.
But what about the actual content?
What are people actually engaging with?
Delawareans, they love a good story.
So give them something to connect with.
Introduce your chef.
Share the inspiration behind a certain dish.
Or maybe highlight a local farmer you work with.
And don't underestimate the power of video.
Yeah.
Those quick behind-the-scenes peeks on Instagram stories.
Or a fun recipe reel.
Exactly.
Keep it real, keep it local.
And don't forget to use those relevant hashtags.
Hashtag.
They're like the secret code to social media's success.
But let's be real.
Sometimes people just want to stay in and get their foodie fix delivered.
Oh, absolutely.
Delivery and takeout, they're non-negotiables.
And you've got some great platforms here in Delaware.
DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub.
These are your allies in reaching those hungry customers.
But with so many restaurants on these platforms,
How do you stand out?
think about what travels well.
And invest in quality packaging.
Nobody wants a soggy salad arriving at their door.
Or a lukewarm burger.
And don't forget those little touches.
Maybe a handwritten thank you note.
Or a small sample of like a new dessert.
Such a great way to elevate that delivery experience.
Exactly. Let's
Yeah.
talk about some of those events that make Delaware so unique.
Food festivals.
They're marketing gold.
Okay, so we have to talk about the Delaware Wine and Beer Festival.
Such a blast.
It's the perfect opportunity to showcase those local flavors.
Create a limited menu that pairs perfectly with those Delaware wines.
And craft brews.
And for those seafood lovers,
The Seafood and Jazz Festival.
another can't miss.
Think small bites.
There are oysters.
Maybe even a crab cake slider.
That'll have people coming back for more.
Now that's what I call marketing genius.
And don't forget about the Rehoboth Beach Jazz Festival.
So much good music, A&D, good food.
Sign me up.
It's a chance to get creative.
Maybe a special jazz-themed menu.
For a signature cocktail.
Named after, like, a famous jazz musician.
I love it.
So much potential to make it memorable.
But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Let's rewind a bit.
we've done all this amazing work.
The big day is approaching.
What happens right before you unlock those doors?
And welcome in the hungry masses.
This is where the soft opening comes in.
It's your chance to, like, fine-tune the machine.
Before the grand opening show.
So it's like a dress rehearsal for the main event.
Exactly.
Invite a small group,
Friends, family,
maybe some local food bloggers.
and treat it as a real service.
This gives your team a chance to practice
Work out any kinks in the system
and get some feedback.
in a much lower pressure environment.
Smart.
Because there's nothing like a real life service to highlight those things.
Those little things you might not have anticipated.
What about the menu?
Full menu blast.
Or keep it simple.
Start with a limited menu.
Your greatest hits.
The dishes you know you can nail.
This helps manage the kitchen flow.
And it ensures those signature dishes are absolutely perfect.
Okay.
Soft opening is done.
Feedback gathered.
Adjustments made.
Now it's time for the grand opening.
How do you make it an event to remember?
It's all about generating buzz.
Leverage those social media channels we talked about.
Reach out to local media
Maybe even partner with a local charity.
for a special grand opening event.
Oh, I love that.
Gives back to the community. A&D gets people excited about your mission.
What about those special grand opening offers?
A must.
Maybe it's like a discount on their first meal,
A free appetizer with every entree.
or even a raffle with exciting prizes.
Everyone loves a little something extra. And while we're talking about creating a buzz,
What about entertainment?
live music is always a hit.
Especially if you can snag like a local band or musician,
It adds to the ambiance.
and it creates that festive, celebratory atmosphere.
This is all making me want to plan a party.
But amidst all the excitement,
We can't forget about the practical stuff.
you're absolutely right.
Triple check those licenses and permits.
Make sure your health and safety protocols are all in place.
And, maybe most importantly,
Make sure your team is prepped.
and ready for that grand opening rush.
Because a well-prepared team is a happy team.
And a happy team means happy customers.
Exactly.
And speaking of happy customers,
Let's not forget that the real work begins
after that grand opening,
because consistency is key.
you've got to keep delivering on those promises.
Day after day,
Meal after meal.
you nailed it.
We're back.
And the excitement.
It's palpable.
We are officially in grand opening mode.
But as we all know,
The journey of a Delaware restaurateur,
it doesn't stop there.
it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right? You got it.
You've wowed everyone with your grand opening
But now it's about turning those first-time diners.
into loyal regulars,
So how do you keep that momentum going?
especially in those like crucial first few months.
Data is your friend.
Keep a close eye on your sales numbers.
Are there certain dishes just flying off the shelves?
Any noticeable lulls during the week?
This helps you really understand what's resonating with those Delaware diners.
And allows you to like adjust your strategies.
Makes sense.
Don't be afraid to tweak the menu
Or experiment with specials.
based on what you're seeing. And remember those online reviews we talked about?
They're like gold dust now.
Respond to them.
Engage with your
So
customers
show them that you're listening.
and that you're constantly striving to improve.
It's all about building that relationship.
That sense of community around your restaurant.
You got it.
And speaking of community,
Remember those local partnerships.
now's the time to nurture those relationships.
Maybe you offer a special discount.
For customers who show, like,
Their ticket stub from a recent show at the Grand Opera House in Wilmington.
or collaborate with a local brewery for, like, a beer pairing dinner.
Such a great way to tap into those existing networks.
And cross-promote.
Precisely.
But even with the best planning, unexpected things will happen.
The key is to be adaptable.
Because the restaurant industry is famous for throwing curveballs, right?
You said it.
That's why, like, having those backup plans is crucial.
Build strong relationships with your suppliers.
Have a list of, like, reliable vendors on speed dial.
And, maybe most importantly,
Foster that strong sense of teamwork among your staff.
so when that inevitable oven fire erupts,
Everyone knows their role,
it can just jump in to help.
ideally,
It won't be quite that dramatic.
but you get the idea.
Cross-training is key.
Your host could be, like, a whiz at plating desserts.
And your bartender might have this hidden talent for crafting the perfect latte.
It's about being resourceful.
And adaptable.
Now, all of
That
this,
sounds like a lot to juggle.
especially when you're also trying to, like, perfect that signature dish.
It is a balancing act, for sure.
But don't be afraid to embrace technology.
To, like, streamline things.
Delaware has a thriving tech scene.
And there are some really fantastic restaurant management software programs out there.
Oh,
Tell me more.
think about it.
From managing your inventory to scheduling staff,
Analyzing sales data.
even handling payroll.
These programs, they can be a lifesaver.
They free up your time
And your mental energy.
to focus on what you do best.
Creating amazing food.
And unforgettable dining experiences.
Music to a restaurateur's ears.
Now,
Before we wrap up this, like, epic culinary journey
any final words of wisdom?
for our aspiring Delaware restaurant owners,
Opening a restaurant.
it's a roller coaster.
There will be long nights, staffing challenges.
And those inevitable moments of self-doubt.
But when those doors swing open,
And you see those smiles on your diners' faces.
as they savor the flavors you've poured your heart and soul into,
That's pure magic.
you can't bottle that feeling, can you?
Never.
So my advice is this.
Stay true to your vision.
Never stop learning.
Never stop innovating.
And always remember your why.
The reason you embarked on this delicious adventure in the first place.
Beautifully said.
And there you have it, folks.
Your crash course in conquering the Delaware restaurant scene.
We've covered everything from
Legal loopholes.
to marketing magic,
But the most important ingredient.
passion.
Bring your passion to the table.
And the first state will surely welcome you with open arms.
And empty stomachs.
Until next time, happy cooking.
Happy eating.
And as always,
Happy deep diving.